and comes back and nails me in the freaking face. Literally, like, knocks me off. It looked like Chevy Chase. I'm laying on the ground, and at that point, I don't know if it's because I was seeing 3 racquetballs or whatever, but Sean came back and kicked my ass, so it was 43-0. I never beat him. Never beat him. I had you too, and I did.
The way he hit the racquetball.
You had me a couple times. The worm turn.
He makes you think that you're going to win,
Uh-huh.
and all of a sudden he hits it like he's like Indiana Jones doing that punch.
That's his golf. That's his golf day too.
Racquetball, he always had the bat spin. I was like, how did you kill that shot? How do you do a kill shot like that?
If I tell you, I'm going to have to kill you.
Exactly. Welcome to Three and a Half Gentlemen, the podcast, where 3 of the 4 hosts provide a refined and intellectual analysis of movies for our private collections, while one of us tries desperately to keep up. We'll let you decide which host is which, but for now, my name is Sean, and please come with me, with my co-host, Jeremiah.
We are the music makers, and we are the dreamers of dreams, yo.
Eddie?
Wow, deep. The secret is it's not the chocolate that matters. It's the people you share it with.
And Brandon.
They call me Shorty Pants.
I like that one.
That's my good. That's Hugh. You heard Hugh right now. We get
best part of this movie.
Hugh Grant.
As with every review we give, our goal is to answer one simple question. How many drinks does it take to get through the film that we just watched? Now, at the end of the podcast, we'll rate the film based on a scale of 0 to 5, with 0 being a perfect film that you can watch stone cold sober, and 5 being sort of the film that makes you feel like you've been charged 10,000 sovereigns for one night stay in a boarding house, leading you to scrub your life away. I changed the last part for you, dude.
Indentured servitude is what it was supposed to be, but yes.
Yeah, that's like you got to read the small print, guys. You got to read the small print.
Man. So tonight we're going to be tackling Wonka, the 2023 family-friendly prequel of sorts to Roald Dahl's classic story of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. In Wonka, we follow the eponymous Willy Wonka as he arrives at a fantastical European port to establish his eventual chocolate empire. However, he finds that he first needs to defeat the competition of chocolatiers of Slugworth, Prodnose, and Ficklegruber, who try everything they can to keep him down. At the same time, Wonka realizes the importance of friendship and helping those around him. This movie stars the so-hot Timothée Chalamet, Olivia Colman, Keegan-Michael Key, Kala Lane, and Hugh Grant. Or High Grant, as I typed it, as the one and only Oompa Loompa. He did seem kind of high, didn't he? My God.
Yeah.
Anyway. Yeah. Wonka has an IMDb rating of 7.0 out of 10 and has a Rotten Tomato score of 82% with the critics and, Ed, I'm baffled, an audience score of 90%. So good on you.
It's not surprising.
Wonka.
This is
good on you.
This is the next generation just not understanding a Wonka movie, guys.
We'll get into that.
Yes, we will. We try and pair movies or series with a cocktail that we hope will enhance the viewing experience. Tonight, we're drinking the classic Chocolate Martini, or Chocolatini, or Chocolatini, if you want to sound all fancy and stuff. The ingredients and description can be found on our Instagram page, where you can also find other fun facts, images, trailers, and clips from our podcast.
If you're listening on any platform podcasts are available, we thank you, and we invite you to move on over to our YouTube channel where you can ring the bell and see all the videos from our podcast, including Gentleman Weekly and some behind-the-scenes flubs and outtakes where we can't quite get the words out correctly, which happens
There's a lot of bloopers.
Every episode,
sentence,
all the time.
Okay, yeah.
Please enjoy our review and make sure you check out our Instagram page at The Gentleman Podcast. The dot means a lot, and you can find even more there.
Chocolate wasted, dude.
All right.
So Wonka.
I have a couple things to start with this movie. Number one,
Let's start it.
Number one is I want me and Brandon were talking before we began the podcast, or actually after he had seen it, but before we really gotten into it. And he made a comment about Timothée Chalamet kind of not paying attention to anyone and delivering his lines in a very interesting way and being kind of in his own world as he progressed through the movie. And I do want to point out at the very beginning, it's a valid criticism, 100%, but it is intentional because he lives in a different world. And the only way that we have evidence for this is if you look at his song, the Pure Imagination song, which is, I think, used in this movie in a perfect way. But he says in the song, "Come with me and you'll be in a world of pure imagination. Reach out, touch what was once just in your imagination." He wants to take what is essentially in his brain and make that his reality. And I think that in doing so, he has a very hard time connecting with everyone else around him. And that's what this movie is about, is his breaking down that false, I don't know, that false facade.
Reality.
And trying to connect with people, which he seems to do much better than he did as an older man, if you're connecting the two movies. So anyway, that's where I'd like to start, kind of with that character evaluation, and kind of go from there.
I appreciate that.
It's a good start because he's daydreaming. The whole movie, he's a lot of daydreaming. And I like that. Okay, like it's a good beginning, Sean.
Yeah.
Post scrub.
One of my favorite scenes is where he's doing his first chocolate dance or whatever. He's doing his whole choreography with all the people, and then from the cop's perspective, he's just dancing alone in the middle of the square. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, so he's literally living in a completely different world than the rest of us. And me and Jeremiah talked before the podcast about how sometimes those are the most interesting and wonderful people, is how, they're not conformists. They're not gonna buy into society no matter what you do or try.
Yeah, it's the Jeff Bezos and the Bill Gates and the Steve Jobs.
Yeah, they're just living in their own world, and we just try to keep up with them.
I'm gonna get straight into my, I don't know, driving question watching this. First off, though, I got to say it on a sidebar. This whole time, you're labeled as host scrub, and I thought it was because you're the kind of guy that can't get no love from me. I forgot that it was the scrub song. But secondly, and this is an issue that I really had.
Fucking TLC him right there.
I just TLC'd him. Jared, watch out! You're gonna be chasing waterfalls. But listen,
just stick to the rivers and ponds where you're used to.
Why you gotta go there? It's a lovely. No, they just want to go see a waterfall. My gosh. Anyway, listen. No, I really do have my serious beef with this. Actually, I'll go back and then we'll go forward. First off, I think I'm going to probably be the only human being alive who is not infatuated with Timothée Chalamet. I just don't get him.
I agree.
Don't get.
I'm
the.
You're not the only one. It's both of us.
Yeah, I just don't get it. I thought he was great in Dune. I really did. I thought he was great in Dune 1 and Dune 2, and I think he's a good actor. I don't see him as the next hot star, the next big thing. So that's my first thing. But my second one, the one that I actually want to talk to you guys about, and this is actually something that bothered me, so please bring that score down for me, is I don't understand how the Willy Wonka that we see in Wonka becomes the reclusive kind of asshole that we see with Gene Wilder in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, he's so full of life and so embracing in this movie. I feel like it was written as two different characters. Yeah. Do you guys see that? And I just feel like that kind of, it's detrimental to the story as a big whole,
That made sense, yeah, because the other Wonka, he's very standoffish and he's quiet and he's like secretive. This Wonka here is very open. He's trying to make friends and he's
nobody knows what he looks like in the other one.
It's two different Wonkas. Yep, I see how that is.
Jeremiah,
I'm not gonna lie, I do kind of miss the psychotic Willy Wonka and his acid trip of a factory and shit like that.
Johnny Depp.
So Tim Burton.
Yeah, Gene Wilder. Okay. The only thing I can say to you guys, like, when you get older, your heart dies in a way, and I think sometimes it just happens.
Yeah, but that hurts with this guy.
It does hurt. I have to say that the reason why this movie worked is because of Timothée. I think he had a heavy task to ask, to reprise the role of Gene Wilder, and I think he did a remarkable job in a way that he doesn't try to be Gene Wilder. He puts his own style to it. And I appreciate when an actor does that and not tries to emulate, I'm going to do exactly that type of style.
I was waiting for the tumble. Was anybody else waiting for the tumble? I was waiting for it. It never happened.
Just him be sarcastic or just having the mannerism of Gene Wilder. And he does his own thing in this movie. I was really appreciative that, that's cool. Think about Timothée. I mean, like, I was talking to Sean about this. This guy could have done anything, and he does a production, a British production, so to say, and he does something with Wonka. I think that's pretty cool, man. I think that's just like someone that goes, I'm going to do this, my own thing.
I'm going to disagree with you slightly on Timothée not being the next thing. I think that he is going to be a Leonardo DiCaprio type actor going forward. I think he's super young, and I think that what he reminds me of most, and I hate to say to compare him, but he really reminds me of Will Smith. You wanted to watch him. You wanted to see what he was going to do. You wanted to see his career. You wanted to see what roles he was going to take on. And then as he got older and as he got seasoned, he became the actor you wanted him to be when he was younger. And it's, to me, I think Timothée Chalamet, Leonardo DiCaprio was kind of good from the go, but I think that he's going to develop into something special.
The last 4 movies, he's been knocking them out. I'm just,
which ones? Name them.
Dune 2, Wonka.
Complete Unknown.
The Complete Unknown.
Well, let me be devil's advocate to myself and see what you guys think. Could it be that and maybe Eddie, I don't want to speak for you, Ed, but I am not taken by Timothy like so many other people are. Do you think it's because he's surrounded by freaking fantastic actors? I mean, if you look at the cast of Dune, I think the cast of Dune is some of the best who's who of acting. I thought that this movie, the actors that they got to play, around him. So in that sense, Sean, it kind of goes along with what you're saying, is that he's not a seasoned, so he kind of, I guess I disagree with you, Sean. I just don't.
Did you see Call Me by Your Name?
I haven't seen that one yet. No, I do want to see that one.
Did you see Little Women?
Yes.
So I thought he was really good in Little Women. I think he's much better in a more serious role. Lady Bird, I thought he was really good in.
I give that. Yeah. I think that's true.
A comedy actor, a serious actor. It's very hard to run the gambit.
Watch this movie, Bones and All, where he plays a Campbell,
God.
Fucking, it's hardcore. I mean, he can go to that Leonardo DiCaprio, that range of like, hey, that's a dangerous role that you're going to be doing, He has that ability.
Well, I want to see that then, because I
Which one, Bones and All?
Yeah, Bones and All was really good. And so Lady
6.8 on IMDb.
Yeah. Lady Bird's good. But his performances in these movies, Ed, the movies aren't fantastic, but his performances are leaps and bounds ahead.
So maybe that's where I'm going to go off of this, is I don't think he is this. I think that this movie miscast with him. I think he's a great, I think he's a good actor, but like, it's just, I think it's too soon for him to be in this type of a role. Like, I just don't see him yet. Like, I feel like I still, but the other part is, I feel like I think Dune 1 and Dune 2, they hit hard because of this movie. He grew in this movie. I mean, Dune 1 and Dune 2, he became better with different type of acting. He's better in serious roles. I don't think he's funny. It was too much singing for me. I don't see him as a singer. Do you guys like him singing so much? The whole movie was singing.
I think he was delightful and charming, and I think that the way he delivered his lines it was like he was living in a dream world going through. And I loved when you never had chocolate, and then that light bulb, and it's very different. It's just a different performance, and I understand that you might have been miscast. I can't off the top of my head think of any other human that could have played that role.
Are you talking about do you wish the Wonka character was older, or do you prefer this being a prequel of him being a younger man?
First off, before Wonka even got to Wonka, I feel like it didn't go too much in detail with a little bit with Hugh Grant, with him going on the island, with how he got this special chocolate, but it needed to go more into the history of Wonka for me personally.
Okay.
And I don't see.
Yeah, well, I mean, he had spent 7 years developing his chocolate, developing his candies, and then he was going to go to the Gallery Gourmet to open up his chocolate shop, and so he had shillings in his pocket, and then I think my favorite Easter egg of the whole movie is when he drops.
It was the drop the coin.
Yeah. That's the one that Charlie Bucket finds to get his candy that is the golden ticket in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Who dubbed Timothée Chalamet to be the next Leo? I mean, it's a little premature, I feel like.
I think a lot of people have said it too. I mean, he's done a lot of indie movies, and now he's doing big budget movies. He's kind of following the same career path as Leonardo DiCaprio. I'm not saying that he's doing it, but you look at Leo's career and his career, they're almost kind of syncing up when you think about it.
And I hate to say this just categorically, but it is true. He is being embraced. He is.
Oh, he is, absolutely.
He is beloved at this point, to the point where he is going to have a meteoric rise, whether we want him to or not. That's his glide path. At this point.
Question off. Let's get away from Timothée. I have 2 questions for you guys, and this is not, and I do mean this, Sean. I'm not disparaging this at all. But does it seem like the people actually like the taste of the chocolate, or is it just the after effects that they like? And 2, I want to know what kind of business model he's got, because he's just giving away chocolate everywhere. Where's the money coming from? Who's keeping track of it? That's what I'm asking. That's what I'm wondering.
I'll answer the second question.
If you build it, they will come.
The business model is that of a cocaine dealer. You give them a taste, and then you charge them for number 2.
I was about to say, if you remove the chocolate out of this movie and you add cocaine or death sticks or whatever, you have a different movie. It's like Scarface. He's literally taking the reins of the chocolate cartel, and he's trying to move up on their fucking territory. I mean, if you remove the chocolate and put narcotics, you have a different gangster fucking movie.
Yeah. Then he's Scarface, not Wonka. But I think what's really interesting. So I I remember sitting down to watch this movie, and I was not excited for it, really. I was not thinking he was going to be very good. I don't think anyone could replace Gene Wilder. I was thinking the movie was, what the hell could they do with this movie? And then the movie started, and you got the Chocolate Cartel and these three ridiculous characters who run the Chocolate Cartel together, essentially. And they've been diluting their chocolate with water, which is why his chocolate is so much better. There's the answer to your first question.
You gotta let him cook.
Yeah. And I do think that his
This
chocolate,
is Breaking Bad.
like, so the idea is,
He went to Columbia for his chocolate. That's what he did.
yeah, he did. So no, but the idea behind the whole story
Smuggle
is
it.
that he spent 7 years hard labor around the world collecting different things to make his chocolates great. And I
Is
think
it the
it's both
effects?
the after effects.
Okay.
It's both. It's the after effects and the flavor and once again, it's not about chocolate. And Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, by the way, is not about chocolate. It's about a world that he's trying to share with other people. When they finally open the Wonka chocolate shop, it's not about the chocolate. It's
That was
about
cool.
it's about feeling
experience.
like a kid again. It's about feeling
Yeah.
innocence in a world that's tarnished with experience.
It's what his mom said to him in that little secret. It's like the secret is it's not the chocolate that matters. It's the people you share it with.
And how wonderful a gateway drug to opening up relationships with
Drug.
chocolate. And I mean, I just
100% chocolate, guys. That's what
I
you
know
get.
you guys weren't
Yeah.
a huge fan of the music necessarily. I thought the music, first of all, there wasn't that many songs, and I felt like
Scrub
I
went on a
absolutely
good 20
loved-
minutes.
Scrub was too long.
It was
But-
too long.
There's over 10
Listen,
songs.
I can watch Jim Carrey go scrub for a long
I
time.
was-
That's
I
fucking
love him.
great. Okay.
But when
That's
they
a lot of
do
songs.
the-
Carlton, man.
when they do the song. When they do the song where he's selling his chocolate, they find a way to use the underground, and he's selling his chocolate, and I thought that was such a beautiful, like, the whole thing was so Newsies. It was so old school musical. There's a musical called Good News, and it felt like that. It felt like the homage to these old time musicals, and it just made me feel so nostalgic. I think overall what this movie did successfully, whether you like it or don't like it, or you can nitpick it or tear it apart, by the end of the movie, as ridiculous as the plot is, as ridiculous as some of the characters are, you feel something. And I think you feel good about humanity, and you feel better about people. And it's almost like he's let you into this little world that he has, and for a moment, maybe 2 hours, you just kind of like enjoy it, and then you move on.
I'm gonna give Sean the best compliment of a movie that I can possibly give, and this is true, and it'll be reflected in my score. Is that this was an escape? This was an escape into a different world, and I think that tend to watch movies to not get the escape, to be challenged, to be bashed in the face with it, and sometimes it's good to have a family friendly escape, and I do think that this one does it. I do think that Timothée Chalamet was just not my favorite, but at the same time I think he did really well with what he was given. I just think that I would go with Ed. I think that I cannot pinpoint who I would rather have in it. I think that he was possibly miscast.
Even though as much as this movie was entertaining, do you think people were like, I can't wait for a prequel for this movie?
So two reasons. Yeah, two reasons. Number one, we got Tim Burton, and if you've listened to the podcast, you know that I have a deep love and support of Tim Burton, even though Tim Burton,
However,
has many bombs, and I would say one of his biggest
However.
bombs is the Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. I thought that was
Absolutely.
an absolutely
Yes.
terrible movie. That was uncalled for. I think because of that bombing, that was a terrible movie.
Uncalled for. Uncalled for is probably my favorite comment of
That
the
is-
day. That was just an unforced error. Like, but once again, from the original, no one's asking for
No, exactly,
sequels.
and no one's
asking to explore this world again.
Yeah. And I do think that Eddie hits a great point that I would much rather have found out about where Wonka came from than what he did in this little European place. And the unfortunate thing is I would have loved to see him building his factory with the Oompa Loompas, not just Hugh Grant's one little shorty pants. I would have loved to see that, but more than anything, I would have loved to have seen the story between Mom and him arriving. And instead of a flashback, two flashbacks.
I got.
That's
the same vibe
that's
I
my
got
problem.
there.
We certainly didn't want it. And I think it's about time that I get it off my chest so that Sean's mom can hate me just a little bit more. Charlie and the Chocolate Factory it goes down in my book as one of my top 5 least favorite movies of all time. I hate it with a passion. I love Gene Wilder. I would love to talk about Blazing Saddles, where Gene Wilder isn't a good movie. But Charlie and the Chocolate Factory it doesn't hit for me. So to say that I enjoyed something related to the Wonka character with this movie is a huge leap forward. So that's what I got for you guys.
I have to disagree with you on that part of like Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory with Gene Wilder. I think it's something special in a lot of ways.
Mm-hmm.
There's a little magic that's missing in this movie that doesn't have the Gene Wilder vibe to it. I think the music never
It's
finds
the factory.
place. I also think it
Maybe,
relies
yeah, that's
on
a
the
good one.
classic songs from the original film. But like you said, I kind of wish that they could explore more of how they got the castle, his factory going. I think the second half of the film is better than the first half. I think the second half of the film finds
way
the
better
setting, and it finds its place.
As soon as he gets
The magic starts happening.
trapped,
Yes.
as soon as he gets trapped, it gets better. As soon as you accept the premise of the movie gets better. One of the things that I'll just kind of interject here is because I think that you guys are missing the story slightly, and you're looking for a history and you're looking for development of the character, and he's mysterious. He doesn't have you're never going to get what you want ever in your life. You're never going to get a backstory of Willy Wonka and him trudging through the jungle looking for the tsetse fly.
Oh, that sounds so fun, though.
Why?
I want
Why?
that.
Why?
With Dora
Why?
the Explorer.
Because the way that the books were written was about his heart. So this movie is about him basically learning how to share his gift with the world, and then the second movie is about re-engaging with the world that he has shunned because they fucked him. And now he's going to re-engage.
Do you think that he seems like a character in this movie, right? Does he seem like a character who would shun the world? That's my problem. That's my holdup, is that I feel like
I think he's naive. He can't read. He look at what happens in the first 15 minutes of this movie.
Dude.
This shillings in his pocket, right? So he starts with 15 shillings in his pocket, and he ends up with none. And the reason is because he gets taken advantage of by the shoe shiner. The first song shows you his naivete, and then the fact that he can't read, and the fact that everyone's trying to keep him down, and he's going through the whole story that. When he does establish his chocolate factory, I can see spoiled little brat children absolutely ruining his light. And the second movie is all about re-engaging that light and reigniting that light. I'm just saying that's what this movie's about. That's what the books are about. And so you're not going to ever get your intricate backstory, as much as I would enjoy that. And I'm with you. I want to know, where he found all this stuff.
A very simple movie. It's called Despicable Me, and Despicable Me did 1, 2, and 3, and then people wanted to know, how did Gru become with minions? So people wanted to do that. I'm just telling you. And then you did the rise of Gru, right? You did the rise of Gru, and that's where he became friends with the minions. It shows you Gru at a young age, and he got people. I don't know. For me, I would like to see like the rise of Wonka, where he became more with like half of Wonka is the Oompa Loompas. All right, like it's like that's his crew personally, from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, even with the other one with Johnny Depp. Like Willy Wonka is nothing without his teammates. I feel like I wanted to see more of the rise of him. Maybe I was thinking him even at a younger age, someone like maybe even Finn from Stranger Things. To be honest, I feel like Timothy was badass in Dune 1 and 2, and he's grown so much to I liked him. I just don't think he was personally in this movie. I don't think he hit for me. But I wanted to see the rise of Wonka more in the town of Columbia, with searching for his chocolate, and then him becoming friends with the Oompa Loompas.
So Roald Dahl wrote 2 books of Wonka. One is Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. The second is Charlie and the Great Glass Elevator, and that takes place after Charlie takes over the factory. So this is an origin story that's original, which means that they weren't constrained by anything. But, and here's my problem, and this is the problem I'm going to come back to, but to me, and Sean, I do hear what you're saying. I love the idea of this idea of bringing this light and then reigniting the light. I love that idea. What I would have loved to have seen in this movie, in Wonka, is just a shred of that distaste for the evils around him. I don't feel like we got that. And so if we're watching this chronologically, we see Wonka, this bright, bushy-browed, happy, bright-eyed person coming through into this world and bringing this light with him, but never wavering. He's always looking at the good. I would have loved to have seen, where's that light get extinguished? Well, honest to God, I hope that they make a sequel just so that we can get that. Or are they? Okay, well, it's about damn time then, because there needs to be
it made
some connector.
It made $1 billion. Of course, they're going to make a sequel.
But Sean, do you see what I'm saying? There needs to be a connector because there's too much of a disfluency here.
I get what you're saying. But I'm just looking at. I guess I'm looking at a movie from start to finish that at the end of the movie it makes you feel good. It makes you feel good about society. It makes you feel good about people. It makes you feel like friendship and loyalty are rewarded and evil is overcome. Friendship
And I would
and
agree
loyalty
that this is what it is.
Yeah, friendship and loyalty of his fellow incarcerees at the laundry factory. But then you also have Oompa Loompa, who I think they explored that relationship pretty good. He stole their cocoa beans. He was on guard. He went to chase him and decided to be his taste tester. Kind of makes sense. I mean, that's the whole story.
So where's the other ones coming from?
Well, the question is,
Thank you, Brandon.
The question is where the additional Oompa Loompas came between this movie and the next one. Well, that time hasn't been explored yet.
I'd like for it to be.
Maybe in another movie, but it wasn't in this movie.
You said from start to finish, it was, a story. I feel like it started right at 55-minute mark is where it got interesting for me. And that's right around Hugh Grant. I feel like he stole the show for me personally. I got very excited every time he jumped on the scene.
Hugh Grant is just got to be one of the most, I'm going to say it because he would say it as a British person, lovely individuals to watch on screen. I just love seeing that guy. Even though in real life, I think he's probably not the nicest person. I want to just be his friend on screen.
I think he's delightful in real life. He's just irritated with people.
I hear that.
Look,
so he's Willy Wonka.
Watch him on the Graham Norton show because he's hysterical.
Sean, you're absolutely right. There's a Wonka 2 coming. Thank you, IMDb.
Yeah. Go ahead, Jeremiah.
Thank you. God damn, you guys are so hard to
We're
talk
just so
over.
excited.
Sorry.
Nope. Fuck you guys. So I don't think Timothy's the problem in this movie. I think you guys are trying to pick on him and shit like that. He's not the problem. He makes the movie what the movie is.
Agreed.
For me, there's too many storylines that just doesn't really kind of get together what I wanted to see in this movie. Okay, you have Wonka versus the drug cartel. I'm sorry, the chocolate cartel. You have the church issue. You have the hotel. It didn't really focus too much on what I wanted to see was Wonka and Noodles and bringing the business together because, in a lot of ways, that's Slugworth. So I think there's a lot of things I wanted to see that we did not get to see in this movie. However, this movie is very delightful. And this is something I did not expect in this movie because I was ready, in the first, 10 minutes, this movie, these music, it just doesn't add up. But you just kind of go with it. And it's just one of those sneaky fucking films that in the end, you're just like, okay, here it is, It's not Gene Wilder. But no. I think this is really cool for generations and our generations, for kids, to have this type of a movie that they get to experience. And that's something that I'm so sad that they don't really get experience too much of something like this.
Jer, is this your first time seeing it? Is this your first time seeing this movie?
This is my first time seeing it.
And Eddie, you saw it for the first time?
This is my first time seeing it.
Me too.
I'm happy this movie was able to represent something that I've been wanting for a generation of people to see. And that's the type of films that we grew up with. And it has a little.
It's a family movie, is what it is. I feel like there's not a lot of family movies out there. It's not Disney, princess, and nothing against it. But
I liked that it had some nuance to it too. So I liked that all the different characters, which seemed unconnected at the beginning, and I think that this was definitely a flaw in the movie, like Jeremiah said, is you have each character that is incarcerated at this hotel. The reason that they found their way there was because of the drug cartel, the chocolate cartel, was because, what's his name was the accountant who found the other ledger. And then all of a sudden he got trapped. And then you had the orphan who was actually the brother and the inheritor of the chocolate. And then you had, the comedian who, what was his connection? He had some connection.
He could speak underwater. I know that much.
No, he had some connection. I can't remember what it was. The phone line operator overheard conversations. And to me, it was almost like Jeremy said, it was too many threads to try and shove together at the end, but it did kind of put everything together in a nice little bow, even though it was too much. And I loved the little relationship between the woman underground and the guy at the zoo. And Rowan Atkinson, we haven't even talked about him, Mr. Bean. That whole, involvement of the church and
criminally underused.
And basically chocolate. Yeah,
I felt like they add Mr. Bean and hey, here's Mr. Bean. You'll be happy that he's in this movie.
I love Rowan Atkinson. They criminally underused him.
I don't think this movie was supposed to be good necessarily. I think everyone had low expectations of it.
So
and I think it kind of blew everyone away with how just kind it was, how sweet it was.
I'm a big Olivia Colman fan. What do you think of her in this movie? Because I felt her. This is the first time I'm going to say this. And Coleman, I adore you. I was kind of like fucking annoyed with her character in this movie.
Over the top.
Just too much for me.
But
dude.
just like Keegan Michael Key was over the top. They were just.
He's always
over
over
the
the top.
top.
Yeah.
No, Coleman was not. I didn't like her in this. I love her in absolutely everything else I've seen her in. But I do want to ask you guys this question because I think this is probably the most important question, which is, what is your favorite chocolate brand? That's a tough question. I feel like it needs to be answered. I'll go first. If you okay, Sean will go first. Yeah. No, Sean, you go.
Caramello.
No, okay, so Cadbury. I'm talking brand. Not
brand?
Brand. Because we
absolutely Cadbury, absolutely without question, unequivocally.
Okay.
From the eggs to the caramello.
Are you talking about that commercial where it's like, all these animals are dressed like an Easter bunny or having bunny rabbits, and there's a fucking lion, and they're all like, roar, that commercial?
I don't know what you're talking about.
What the fuck was that?
A fever dream of a commercial that you...
I just had...
What type of chocolate? Bro, the chocolate you're eating is from Sean's factory, okay? So you gotta...
erased it. I'm so sorry. Fucking...
And we're talking about just plain chocolate, not with extra, not Twix, not caramel.
No, you can't change it now.
No, but you
can't change
no,
it
but
now.
Sean, you answered.
Well, you said chocolate brands.
Good one, Cadbury.
Ghirardelli or Ghirardelli.
Mars.
Well, Hershey's, Mars. Mars is pretty much the owner of everything.
So okay, fine. So there's a Lowell. I'm going to give you mine.
Dove.
And
there's Dove out there.
Dove is amazing. So I'm going to give you mine.
I mean,
because
Russell Stover. Oof.
Yesterday, after the movie, I was walking through the kitchen, feeling like I needed a little bit of pick me up, and I looked over at a little candy bowl that's still left over from Christmas, and there was one little chocolate piece that my kids got from Santa, and I looked at it, I eyeballed it, and I said, screw them, I'm having this. And I popped it in my mouth, and I don't know if it's because I was on a chocolate just want because of this movie, but it was a Lindt pure milk chocolate little Santa. Snowman. It was a snowman. And let me tell you, Lindt, Lindt, hands down, became my favorite chocolate in the world in that moment. Now I like the Lindt. You got the truffles.
The truffles are so good.
I'm talking just the milk chocolate. I think that one or Milka. If you've ever had Milka, that one hits.
Yeah,
that one hits.
The Ghirardelli little squares at
California Adventure.
California Adventure.
Eddie, I know you're a sweet tooth like me, man.
And Eddie's a chocoholic.
We respect each other and our candies.
So, yes, we do. Sky's the limit here. Like, I'm a big Snickers fan, so Mars. It goes down to whatever Mars. So Mars owns all of it.
Yeah, basically.
But I'm not gonna lie, like Willy Wonka chocolate, you want one of those? That's Nestle, right?
It is. Yeah. Nestle's got respect.
Ghirardelli is a fan favorite in my house during the holidays.
There's nothing better though than a Hershey bar with nuts, with almonds.
That's Amanda's favorite.
Hershey bar with almonds is just.
That's Amanda's favorite.
What about you, Jeremiah?
I can't really
He's been Googling this
name. No, because I had to figure this out because there's a chocolate
I German like chocolate out there, huh?
When I go to Barnes & Noble, and there's like these chocolate bars, and I think they're called Bissingers. Bissingers. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No, but I'm going to Barnes & Noble tomorrow just to find
40%, 50%, they're like these
You like the
beautiful
dark?
bars. Yeah, Hannah kind of really expanded my world of chocolate, like fancy chocolate and shit. It's the funniest
Respect
thing.
to her.
But
nice.
it's called, I think it's
so
called,
how much percent chocolate is it?
It's called, you can have different types of like percentage.
He likes the 40, I'm guessing.
The 40, the 20.
Yeah.
But this Bissinger milk chocolate, I think it's called Bissinger. Bissinger. Bissingers.
Yeah, that sounds good.
It's either Bissinger or Bissinger. So
European, huh? You like the European type.
Dude,
I like it.
Fucking unbelievable. It melts in your mouth. It is fancy chocolate.
So I do think that the chocolate outside the United States is better than the chocolate in the United States.
Swiss chocolate, my gosh. Yeah. Milka?
Isn't that weird? It makes you feel like, what is...
because it actually has chocolate in it and not chemicals.
Because when you taste real chocolate, you're like, holy crap.
Lindt, yeah, that's me.
That's the other best chocolate.
Remember Lindor? Was it Lindora? Lindor?
Yep.
No, Lindor, Lindt. Lindor. That's the brand.
Same thing.
because that's I remember that woman who used to do the Vons or the Pavilions commercials right around Thanksgiving and the holidays. She'd be like, half a pound of cold voluptuous turkey breast and a nice Lindor chocolate.
I do remember her.
$3.99 a pound.
So you guys remember that commercial, but you don't remember my Lion commercial.
No Lion commercial, Jeremiah. But I will say this. Okay, hold on. Getting back to the movie.
Oh, we're going back. Okay.
I've seen this movie 4 or 5 times.
Wow.
And I think I get emotional, and I even say I get teary-eyed every single time we get to the end of the movie and you realize that Noodle is actually, you know, her mother is in town and she's not an orphan. She's just lost. And when he sings that damn song at the end of the movie,
Come with me.
Yeah, and she walks to the thing. It's just like, to me, that whole summation is so fitting and so perfect, and it makes you, once again, at the end of the movie, it makes you feel good.
I want to see Mom run down. I want to see her run to her daughter instead of just hang out at the top of the steps.
Can you just like one fucking thing, Brandon? Can you not nitpick one goddamn thing?
You like that song, Sean, because of
Gene Wilder.
Because I like the song.
Yes, because of Gene. He made that song. If that's the first time you ever heard that song, guarantee you would feel differently about it.
Probably,
but it did not make you feel of bringing back. It does.
It connects the characters.
I'm happy they did that. I missed the Chocolate Factory, guys. There was no Chocolate Factory for the whole movie. Come on.
I'll tell you this much.
Come on. I want to taste the strawberries and the schnozberries on the walls. Where's that?
Totally understandable. And the ending of the movie, when he's actually trying to persuade Hugh Grant on what he could see and see what he's seeing as a vision of the future, it does kind of have that magic part to it. I love that part. What I'm going to say is that when he does that song, and I know that we're thinking of Gene Wilder when he sings that, it brings you back to when you were little and when you had the opportunity to dream. And so when you hear that song, it puts you into that place and it takes you to a whole different feeling. The way he does it and the way he just looks at her and just gives her a little hope. And don't be afraid. Follow me to a world of imagination. That's what I got in that end. I fucking cried my eyes out. I cried my eyes out like I was watching fucking Armageddon in the last part of that fucking movie. That got me because at this whole point, I'm like, it's okay. Whatever this about this movie. And the ending did it for me.
Tides have turned with Armageddon and Jeremiah. Look at that.
No, he still hates that movie. No, don't get me wrong. But it touched on nostalgia. I mean, even I got a little teary-eyed when I remember when I was a kid, the first time, and I remember it like it was yesterday. I was sitting on my grandma's couch and I was watching Willy Wonka for the first time, and Gene Wilder dipped his cup in the chocolate, and he had the cup in the saucer, and he finishes the chocolate, and then all of a sudden he looks over and then he eats the cup. And I was like, oh my God, this is blowing my mind. Everything here is edible. Everything here is candy. And it was a moment of magic. And if you watch when he's imagining his factory, Hugh Grant picks up a cup, dips it in the lake, takes the chocolate, and then eats it. And it's the same scene. And it brings you back to a moment in your life where things just weren't so hard and horrible. And I think that if a movie is able to do that, it's enjoyable. It's a good movie.
Yeah, it's pure escapism for you.
I don't care about anything. I mean, it's not a 0, but it's just good. It's just that it did its job.
Here's my question. Rank your Willy Wonka movies of the 3.
I'll start, guys.
We're on the same list.
71, original, Gene Wilder, number 1. This is number 2. This totally beats Tim Burton's Charlie in the Chocolate Factory. I can't stand that movie. This leaps bounds over that movie. So this is number 2.
I'll take next. 3. I'm going to amend it and say that in my book, there's only 2 movies that should be even considered. We're going to take Tim Burton right off the list because then I can still love him as a director. No, it goes hands down. Wonka is number 1. This movie is number 1. And then there's a whole lot of just blank space. And then we get to the original just because I don't like the original. But I genuinely, Sean, I'm telling you, I genuinely understood this movie and the attraction of this movie. And I appreciated this movie. Not gonna say I loved it. I would say it was a good movie for me to watch, especially with just, kind of like what you said. Sometimes the world feels like it's just crushing down on us, and sometimes you just need to put something in for 2 hours to kind of forget that the shit is around us, and maybe life isn't so horrible. Maybe there is some kind of thing like hope. So that's what I'm gonna go with. Is this one and then 71. So Sean.
With
original?
Jeremiah, I think the original it has a special place in my heart, even though it's still not one of my favorite movies. I do think that being that it's from 1971 and still is a cherished fucking movie among patrons, it's got to be number one. And then Wonka, obviously it's number two. Tim Burton you swim the river of chocolate and go down that weird waterfall,
Yep.
and even eat the blueberry gum, and it still wouldn't be as good as this movie.
No, so honestly, very close to what you guys are saying. Pretty much the same thing. The original is my favorite, and for the Wonkas, so the original, and then it'll be this one. The last one, it's on the list, but it's definitely number 3. I feel like that was a bad
acid trip.
You're flipping out bad
LSD trip.
A bad LSD trip, yeah. So, but overall, I want to say the reason why is because I was kind of showing it to my kids, and they remember the original being fun, right? Being really fun right out the gate, right? So, and this one took some time to build.
Yeah.
It just was a little bit dark the first couple times. It wasn't as I understood what was going on, but I don't think they did. They were like, well, where's everything else going on with Wonka? They know Wonka as the factory. So I had to tell this is the beginning of Wonka. Going into that, you have to kind of be aware to tell your kids, hey, it's not as funny in the very beginning. It's going to take some time to build up.
Isn't it kind of funny, though, that the last couple of movies we have reviewed, the titular character is prepared to make an enormous sacrifice on behalf of the people they love. I mean, legitimately. Interstellar, Nosferatu, and now this movie, Willy Wonka was about to leave.
Was that a theme for our season?
I'm just saying, maybe it's a common theme in cinema.
Well, hold on. I do want to circle back. We need to circle back to, I think, a serious question that at least is just plaguing my mind. What on earth is worse than Johnny Depp in that movie, Sean? I need to know. I want to know what I hated.
First of all,
Johnny Depp.
There's a lot I didn't like about that movie. I thought the changing of the story and the visuals, the cinematography were so sterile and not charming at all. I think that if you put Johnny Depp in a different environment where it's more soft and kinder, I think that his character would have done better.
But his dad's a dentist. We're really going to go with that? I mean,
I don't know what to tell you, bro.
I don't know what to tell you. You've actually banished that movie out of your life. So
I thought I'd forgotten it. I thought I'd erased it from my brain, but I haven't.
And it was Christopher Lee. So it's really, I mean, he's top 10 for me of top 10 old people. He's my life right there.
Top 10 old people.
Angela Lansbury, Christopher Lee, Ian McKellen, Patrick Stewart.
Give Ian McKellen another 5 years, Sean. God. Ian McKellen will get 5 more years, and he better be at least number 2.
We reached to the end of review, and it's time for each of the hosts to provide a score. Eddie Oompa Loompa, sorry about that, bro. Please provide
Mr. Oompa Loompa to you.
Yes, Mr. Hugh Grant.
Don't be trying to steal anything from me.
I'll steal your beans, yo.
Yeah, we'll come for you, and we'll come 1,000 forward.
I'm quite tall. They call me lofty.
All right, so 0, the perfect movie. You don't need nothing to enjoy it. 1, a feel-good first cocktail. 2, a happy buzz. 3, you're going to Uber or lifting home. 4, a rough morning walk to shame. 5, blackout. Spring break drunk. I miss the old ways of us.
The old ways.
Yeah, just
old ways. Well, we've changed. We've changed.
Shite face. I mean, shite. It's fine.
We've gone too high up, guys.
Come with me to Eddie's 3, and
will I watch this movie again? Is my question. Where does this rank in my movie? It makes me feel like Wonka just bled that city dry and just.
I'm telling you,
he turns evil.
If you see the director's cut, this is a drug cartel movie, dude.
Wonka took over the cartel.
Scratching themselves all left and right. All right, we ready to show?
Okay.
Yep. 1, 2.
Don't hate me, Sean.
Yeah. We're all around the same.
We are in the same. This is interesting. We
what,
haven't done this so far this season.
Let me go first because I never get to go first, and I really want to go first and just get this out of the way.
You're gonna go first next week too, by the way.
Yeah. Oh, cool. So here's the deal. I went into this movie with an open mind. I texted you guys that when I was starting it, and I really meant it. I wanted to go with an open mind, and I did. However, there was still that little shred of I just don't like the character of Willy Wonka for numerous reasons, some of which you guys just mentioned. It was fine kind of suspending my disbelief with Timothée Chalamet. His singing didn't bother me. I think more than anything, take outside of this movie, I'm watching it going, why are you the big hot thing? Why are you the next, up and coming Leo? And that's something that doesn't play into my score at all, but that was really just kind of what my thought was with the Chalamet. With this one, I feel like I didn't get the movie that I would have wanted to explain the character and the situation that we got. To me, and maybe Wonka too, and I'm fingers crossed, we'll answer this, but how do we get from doe-eyed, kind, caring, compassionate Willy Wonka here, who may live in his own imagination but cares about the people around him, to the bitter, crusty recluse that we get in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory? And that, to me, that dissimilarity, that kind of rift between the two films, the same character, it really bothered me. At the same time, I think that this is a movie that is all about escapism, and I think it does it well. This is a family-friendly movie, and this is one of the very few family-friendly movies out there that I think actually exist. Jerry, you said it. They don't make movies that just kind of fun to watch. And I think it was a nice kind of break to see a 2023 film that's not trying to push an agenda one way or the other, that's not trying to be something more than it is. I think what I wish more than anything is that I had never heard of Willy Wonka and or Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, that I'd never seen the other movies, because if I had just come into Wonka and this was an original story and I just saw this, I think it would be really, really low in my score, and I would have enjoyed it a hell of a lot more. So with all that being said, I gave it a 2.99. I should be Uber and lifting home, but instead I feel like I can make it the 2 blocks to my home from the bar. So that's what we got.
For being 2023, so I feel like there's some time to bring a good story that, you could bring your own unique and some little bit more depth to the story than what they brought. Realistically, for me, it didn't utilize the talent of the cast. They had a good cast that was available there. It lacked enough substance for me. I felt like we were just going based off of the old school Wonka vibes a little bit more. Like the original songs, old school songs, which that hit home, but they didn't bring anything new personally to me. And that's why I felt like it was a broken record player, and we're going based off of the original. It was a little bit too much singing than I would prefer compared to, I'm looking at both other movies. I wasn't going into it thinking like the whole movie was a score. Bring something new to the table. Personally, visually amazing. The plot was a little convoluted, and this just made me feel like it was like he got played maybe a little bit too much when he signed a contract without reading it. It's not a bad movie. I think you'll enjoy it with your family. Just going in, make sure you tell the kids it's not like the old school Wonka. But this is a 2.51. This is right there it's an average movie. I'll be okay if not watching it again. That's how I feel with this movie. It's a 2.51, which is a happy buzz with a shot.
So I'll go after Eddie. I agree with half of the things he's saying. I disagree with half of the things he said here. I think Timothée is the reason why this movie works. Is you just go with him. He's the everyday life of like what the heart is looking for in this type of a story. The problem about this movie is that there's a little magic missing with the music. I don't think it found its place. I think that there's too many storylines here. This film brings me hope for the next generation, that there is movies out there for them to see. It's a feel-good movie for them to watch. And, despite its flaws, I see this as a future holiday movie for many years to come. It has that special thing about it. And it's pretty remarkable for something like this in this time where we live in and everything like that. So it is better than an average movie. It is a 2.45. It's a happy buzz, below of a half a shot. The reason why this movie works is because of Timothée. He is the heartbeat of this movie, and you should watch it when you get a chance. I'm kind of curious to see what happens with part 2 here.
So I think that this movie, when they originally conceived it, wrote it, and started to produce it, it was supposed to be a silly kids movie with outrageous characters like Olivia Colman and her husband / boyfriend, whatever it was. You see Keegan-Michael Key's character. You've got the 3 chocolatiers that are part of the cartel being just robustly overt characters that are just insane. Like they're individualized crazy characters. I feel like it's like a Paddington. This is what they were gonna do, and then all of a sudden Timothée Chalamet gets on screen, and they went, oh crap, we have a little bit more of a tone here that we need to deal with. And he's a little bit more serious than the movie was intending to be. It's a little bit more heartfelt than the movie was intending to be. And it made this deeper connection that the movie was supposed to be originally as written. Because you don't have one of the greatest actresses, I think, of our generation, Olivia Colman, play that type of role if you're not supposed to have a silly kids movie. And then all of a sudden Timothée Chalamet comes in and puts, an up and coming actor's perspective on it, where he really wants to take the character serious. He wants to live in this world of imagination and share it with people. And I think that what you get is an inadvertently really good performance in a very kind of mediocre vehicle that ended up being a good movie. I think the reason why the original works so well is because Gene Wilder basically created the character out of cold cloth, and you don't get that. You can't have that from this. Timothée Chalamet has no choice but to take over some of the mannerisms and characteristics of his predecessors. That being said, I think that this is one of the best family movies since Toy Story. I think this is a movie to watch with kids. It has great messaging. It's all about loyalty and trust and
friendship,
honesty and integrity and friendship and all the right and good things about the world. Finally, we get a movie that's just fun. That, oh my God, it was just unencumbered by stupidity. And that to me is worth a lot. So I give it a 1.65. It was not a perfect movie by any stretch, but it was a feel-good first cocktail with an extra shot plus a little bit of sloshiness. When we
got a whole number. Well, not a whole number, but I'm surprised.
When we take those scores and divide by 4,
Eddie, it was your 5-1.
What does
you 2.99?
I know, but you gave a 5-1.
How would I have known you'd done the same damn? God, was I supposed to do the whole score?
What does Wonka get an average rating of?
A 2.4.
2.4.
I mean, like one day it's an average movie, next day it might not be. It's an average movie. 2.4.
2.5 would be an average. Would be an average
just
movie.
below an average movie. I said.
So
it's just better than an average movie. So we're at a happy buzz with not a full shot.
No,
Jeremiah,
you got gypped by that bartender.
Where does
gypped by the bartender. Too much ice.
This is awesome because I've never seen a 2.4 in my life. So
we got an original.
This is an original one, guys.
Ooh.
Number 67 here.
Okay.
Kind of high, but okay.
What's better than Wonka?
The Greatest Showman, North by Northwest,
Yep.
Harry Potter,
Yes.
Sorcerer's Stone,
Yes.
Home Alone
Yes.
2, Lost in New York,
Yep.
Die
Yes.
Hard,
Yes.
Batman, Robert Pattinson.
Yes.
And what is
Yes.
worse than Wonka?
You said no to The Rock, Hershey.
Die Hard.
No, Die Hard.
Relax,
Okay.
relax there.
You have. I don't know what you have against that movie, but the rest of the world thinks it's wonderful.
I think
so
I need
shut
to
up.
watch it again next
It's a
Christmas.
great
I'll watch it
Christmas
again.
movie too. It's a great Christmas movie.
What's worse than Wonka?
Quiet Place 2, A Nightmare on Elm Street, In the Line of Fire, Grease, The Hangover, Moulin Rouge, White Christmas. There you have it.
No,
Sorry,
no.
I think
Nightmare on Elm Street was better. I go around to strangers saying that I don't like scary movies and you need to watch Nightmare on Elm Street. I love that movie.
Yeah,
that
but
was great.
So,
Yeah,
folks,
but
if Brendan comes to the East Coast
yeah.
and you just have a random dude just go, hey, you should watch Nightmare on Elm Street, it's okay. It's just Brandon.
Guess what? There's an Elm
Also
Street.
Also
not
listen
that
to
far
also
from
listen to
IRL.
podcasts.
Brandon's got some trash taste in movies. So
I'm
If you're
interested
interested in listening to a good movie, check out Donnie Darko and Vanilla Sky from last season. They're
I'm gonna
fun.
say this for the first time in this podcast episode. It's a perfect fit. I think it's a perfect
It's
fit.
right where it should be.
I
It
love
should-
it.
it should be
That's
where
my
it's at.
favorite words.
Next week, we're going to be reviewing 1995's crime drama Heat. And we're looking forward to sharing our thoughts on this classic. It's a movie that I have not seen before, but it's a movie that I've always wanted to see. So I get to check two things off this bucket box, and that is watching a fun movie to talk with you guys, and watching a movie that I haven't
Yeah.
seen before.
Excited about this movie, guys. I do love Michael Mann. I'm not going to build it up for
Val
you.
Kilmer.
This is the worst thing to do to people.
Last
that have not
time
seen this
you
movie.
built a movie up, it was Untouchables, and that
Built the
was a
movie
disappointment.
and you did not like it.
Nope.
This is what I'm going to say about this film. Many films since this movie came out 30 years ago have tried to mirror this fucking film and
There's a
failed.
lot.
Failed.
Yep.
So
Classic.
I'm gonna just make 2 points as to why this movie made this show, and we're trying to be more cognizant of how we select movies on this podcast. But the popularity meter on IMDb, it's up 200% this week. So I think that it's just a gentleman researching it and looking at it on IMDb that's making it gone up. But 200% it's up. That's huge. That's a big boost right now. So very exciting.
There's a lot of people that rate this movie, and it's seriously, it's one of the movies that I think defined the 90s, and I can't wait to talk about this film because I think this is the movie. This is one of those movies that I think that changed cinema.
The Town, just even Hell and High Water, just certain movies like this movie just established it's like, hey, this is how it's supposed to be done. Let's build around this movie.
For sure established like a tone, didn't it? It
Yes.
It did.
Yeah, there's a tone, and
it
this
has
is the
one of
movie
the
that you
most-
fall back on.
It has one
This
of
is
the- it has one of
the
the
base
most,
of a movie
this
plot.
has one of the most graphic action scenes I have ever seen in my life.
Mhm.
Nothing has ever come close to it. And that's just my opinion.
We want to give some shout outs to areas where we have listeners. And today we want to reach out and thank, you said Minneapolis, Minnesota?
Yes, man. Purple.
Yeah, Minneapolis,
rain.
Minnesota. We also want to say New York, New York. You know what?
Vegas Hotel?
Thank you, New York. Yeah, that's why I said off air.
That's the gentleman's
But yeah,
stomping
thank
ground,
you.
by the way. We usually go over there.
Yes.
That's our second home.
Oh my God, yes. And then, you know what? One of our favorite places that we love to go, Fresno, California. So
Love that place.
No, thank
What?
you so much, Fresno.
I've always had a good time in Fresno.
Bulldogs. That's what I remember. Yes, the Bulldogs.
Heck yeah.
All right. So for this season, we really want to get some more listener participation. So we've streamlined our process. The best way to connect with us is to drop us a direct message on Instagram, leave comments on our YouTube channel, and don't forget to ring that bell and subscribe. Also, please make sure to leave 5-star reviews on any podcast platform where you're listening. We're really excited to bring you a new season of what we think are very, very curated, personalized movies, some in theaters, some classics. We're going to bring you some groundbreaking television shows like the final season of Stranger Things,
Ooh.
season 2 of Wednesday, and The Last of Us. We just got word that The Last of Us starts, I believe, in April.
Yeah, it's
Which
coming.
is very
Around
exciting.
the corner.
So please make sure to check out our Instagram at the Gentleman Podcast. And that means a lot, where you can get a lot more details about upcoming episodes. And then tune on over to our YouTube channel, where you can see our Gentleman Weeklies, our flubs and mistakes, and all of our episodes now streaming. So once again, thank you so much for listening. We invite you to engage with our new platforms. And with that, I say
More
cheers,
yummy
gentlemen.
cocktails.
Cheers.
Cheers.